I'm going to use today as preparation and practice for my facilitation of all of the TLI treasurer events. So I will be training others on how to be a treasurer. In the spirit of that, my name is Delgado, also known as Angel Delgado. This is preparation and practice. I am an advanced communicator bronze, advanced leader bronze, and I'm also the Zuni 6th area director. Preparation and practice. Benjamin Franklin once said, by failing to prepare, you prepare to fail. What does that mean? Preparation and practice leads to excellence. Being that this is my last speech towards getting my advanced communication silver, I have practiced over 42 times speaking, so that way I can prepare to give this speech. 2 months from now, I would have done at least 54 speeches in order to get this, and that's officially on the books and off the books. When you're preparing and practicing for your speeches, you want to become familiar with the lectern and the audience location. Not everybody uses the lectern. Sometimes they do, sometimes they do not. It is not called a podium. I know that we are used to saying podium, but in Toastmasters we say lectern because we're giving lectures. Your audience location. If your audience is spaced a different way, you want to make sure that when you're relaying your information, you make eye contact with them. So if you have a horseshoe shape, you want to make sure that people on the sides, they get your eye contact. If you have a weird Aki shape in a different type of room, you always want to make sure that you can reach your audience and you know where their location is at to be able to look out in your crowd and make eye contact with each and every one, so that way you can see if they have an understanding or not. Microphone usage. I have a big mouth, so I don't need that, especially in this room, but if you have larger audiences, as we will go more in depth, you will need a microphone. If you're hoarse that day, I gave a speech saying how I lost my voice. I lost my voice, but yeah, I was still loud. Room conditions. If the room is too cold, if it's too hot, usually people fall asleep in either one. I'm the person who falls asleep when it's cold because I hibernate like a bear. Visual aids. You want to make sure that the visual aids you use are not too busy. They are able to be seen across the room. So if you're in the Roselli, you have multiple screens. You want to make sure that all of the screens are working, so that way the shape of the room, once again, coincides with your visual aids. So becoming familiar with the lectern and audience location. Your speaking area. This is a big thing. Here it's pretty easy. You have a certain amount of speaking area. When you're in a division contest or even some area contest, there are stages that you have to be very cognizant of. The last thing you want to do is give a speech and fall off the side and bust your head. That is not a cute look. One of our people actually did have to give a speech in a division area, wore heels that day, was not very comfortable with wearing heels, and then their hind parts, is the best way to put it, on the stage. The audience configuration, once again, in here we have it pretty simple, straight. Sometimes we go into different rooms and we're set up in different ways. We did have a horseshoe at one point. We do have I call it the V shape in the Roselli room. It depends on where your location is and what you're speaking. You want to make sure that your audience configuration is there. Stage location and platform steps or ramps. Very big. I always say, flats, 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 ladies. When you're going to give a presentation on a large stage, the last thing you want to do, because nobody's going to hold your hand up and down a stage, is wear heels. When we went to conference, I had the mistake of wearing heels, and I had to be guided up like I was a slow-mo to get up and down the stairs. That is not a good look when you're trying to walk down the stage. And not only that, but a lot of the stairs on stages do have metal things that will connect with your heel, and you will take a huge tumble forward. And guys who like to wear platform shoes too, you might want to watch out for that. Become familiar with microphones. Groups of 100. You want to be heard audibly, unless you have a big mouth that is bigger than this, and you don't mind yelling, and don't mind not having a voice at the end of the session. You want to make sure that you have a microphone. Now, I think this is kind of mean. Audiences over the age of 50. I know a lot of 50-years who can hear better than my brother. Maybe he's ignoring me. Who's 20, or my son who's 9, who also could be ignoring me too. But I would say that audiences over the age of 50, they do say, please wear a microphone, so that way you can make sure that they can hear you. I always say, look at your audience, see if there's anybody that has a hearing aid, so that way you know that they may have problems, and also if that will interfere with their hearing aids. Poor acoustics. You may have a room that sounds like you're in the bathtub. I hate getting on something or a call and it sounds like somebody's taking it from the toilet. To me, that is the worst thing because you have the worst reverb and then you have also bad visual aids. Voice strain. Once again, I lost my voice. I had to reconnect and redo my speech that I was planning to give in order to accompany the voice strain that I had. Got told the day before, I can't do a speech. Can you do it? I had to do it out of the can speech. I was already losing my voice and then came in sounding like this and still rocked it. So always be prepared and always know that your voice strain has a lot to do, especially if you're talking loud for long periods of time. It's like when you go to a concert, like, ah! And some of you are like, ah! And then when you go home, nobody can understand you because you have no voice. Room conditions. The temperature, once again, too cold, too hot, puts people to sleep, makes them uncomfortable, they stop paying attention because they can't focus. If it's a comfortable climate, people will keep their eyes on you and be engaged, and you'll know by looking out into your audience. Appropriate lighting, and this is not for the ones who are vain, who says I can't have overhead fluorescent lighting. I would like incandescent lighting all the time because I think it makes me look beautiful. However, we do have ugly lights here, but you want to make sure that everybody can see you, because a lot of times when you're on stage, they don't have the lights pointed at you, so you want to kind of make sure that you're still in the light frame. As Tyra Banks says on America's Next Top Model when taking pictures, find your lights. Discreet entry for latecomers. Now, a lot of people come into this meeting late. You don't want to come into the meeting all loud, shuffling papers, talking to everybody. Hey, so how you doing, Kirsty? What's going on? And you know, somebody's in the front. So you want to make sure that when you're coming in late, you come in as quietly as possible. Competitive outside noise. Now, there's a lot of times that we're the noisy ones and they can hear us outside, but you want to make sure that you adjust for those loud noises. In conference, they had these walls where people were walking behind to serve food to other conference rooms. It was noisy. You had to adjust for that with microphones and background music. Visual aids. You want to have that located where everyone can see. So whether that be a projector or you have handouts on your desk or you have boards across the room where everybody can see, your visual aids are very important to get your message across, especially when you're relaying technical information or training information. Appropriately sized viewing screen. For those and that's not for 50-year-olds because I'm obviously blind as well. For those who wear glasses, need glasses, or too vain to put them on, you want to make sure that they are able to see what it is that you're trying to convey, what it is that is supporting material to your speech. Handout distribution. I prefer to have the handouts on the desk before they come in. And I like to put all my handouts towards the front because I hate people who sit in the back. Not for you, Robin, somebody put you back there, you had no choice. But generally, I like to have people towards the front because number one, I can connect with them, and number two, I don't have to worry about screaming so that way you can hear me. So when rehearsing a speech, you want to practice ideas and not words. Anybody who's ever talked to me about how to do a speech prior to will always know that I say I never practice too much or use too many notes. I come up with 4 to 5 points, 5 points at the most. Chrissy can tell you because I'm her mentor and she'll tell you what I told her to do a speech. I don't come up with a whole bunch of stuff because I know that that is a recipe for failure. Number one, because you're trying to remember an outline. How many of you can remember 3 pages worth of a speech? And the first thing that you do when you make a mistake is say, oops, I'm sorry, which detracts people from your message because we don't know you forgot, but you do because you practiced 5 pages worth of speech instead of practicing 5 ideas to build off of. Prepare a mental draft of a speech. Every time I have to give a speech, whether it's a training or what have you, I'm in my car on my 40-minute drive to and from work practicing my speech. Do I look crazy as hell? Probably. I know people driving by are like this, she's talking to herself. And then I make sure that I do it several times before I come into work. When I'm sitting down, I'm multitasking, thinking about the things I'm going to say, reliving the things that I already said, making sure that I can practice, try, and fit things in where I feel they belong, because the first time I think it out, it may not be the end result. Finish each rehearsal session. Now, this is a big thing I had with one of my favorite people, DeMarco. Every time we would train for a speech contest, he would start, make a mistake, and start all over again. And many of you have heard me say, I freaking can't stand training with him because I only hear the first 5 sentences 50 times and we never get through the rest. You make a mistake, keep it moving. Nobody, once again, that will get you into the habit of, nobody will ever know that you made a mistake when you're standing up here and you forgot a thought. And not only that, but you'll get good at the whole speech instead of only at the first 5 phrases. Improving your speech. Add improvements gradually. If you are a duck hunter, ding, ding, I call it the pacing, but it's duck hunting, like the old Nintendo game. If you are a duck hunter, practice on not pacing as much. If you are a hand talker, and Stephanie and Karina can tell you, I'm a hand talker, I don't smack people in meetings with them. Practice on that only. If you pace and you move your hands a lot, find one thing to focus on first and then focus on the rest. If you're focusing on too many things that you do that need to be improved, you're going to make a mistake in your speech because you're too busy focusing on your body movements and less focusing on the content in which you're delivering. Arrange for feedback. I always ask for feedback. It's pretty easy because here we do have feedback in the form of an evaluation form. However, when you're out giving other speeches outside of Toastmasters or you're speaking to a group of people, always arrange for feedback. Have somebody sit back and say, hey, you may want to work on this. I like to have a Toastmaster in everything that I do, not one that I know, just somebody who I know will give me an effective evaluation. Extra considerations. Providing an introduction. The same way I provided an introduction by saying, my name is blah, blah, blah. This is why I designate my Toastmasters designation, and this is my title within Toastmasters. Provide your own introduction. Doesn't have to be your designation, but just say what you're doing, what the purpose of your speech is, and go from there. Prepare yourself physically. If you're doing your body speaks, you don't want to prepare yourself physically by standing like this. You want to move around. You want to show how your body speaks. You want to show how that works. Just like the same way that you would do with your vocal variety to show the emphasis on words that need to be done. Have a mental rehearsal. Don't have a mental breakdown, but have a mental rehearsal. When Sabrina's friends came in, I told her I wasn't nervous, but I am now. Thank you for that. I was so happy. When they left, I turned over to Bobby. I said, score. In conclusion, good luck happens when preparedness meets opportunity. So this is my, like I said, this is my last speech as an advanced communicator bronze. As of today, to end my stuff out, I'm marking this out, and I'm now an advanced communicator silver. Madam Toastmaster.